Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We are back at the world famous Laguna Seca on iRacing in the Formula Ford for yet another track guide. If you are new to my channel, what we do is a hot lap, a breakdown, and we're back in the cockpit one final time with the driving line on. Brake bias is set to 56% and we are of course using the fixed iRacing Laguna Seca setup as we will in the series. Anyway, let's start the hot lap. Alrighty, let's start the hot lap. So smashing it up the main straight, go through turn one here, this little kink, over to the right hand side, look at the 3 marker, brake long, trail it off, really wide mid corner, and then we get on nice and early for a late apex, over at the 2 sign, little dab on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, getting on the gas nice and early, quick change up to 4th, over to the left hand side, little lift here, then back on the gas. You can actually do it completely flat, but it's not very consistent. Not when I do it anyway. Again, we are looking for just before the 2 marker this time, leaving it in 4th gear, getting on the gas nice and early. You will exit wide. We go up to 5th here, just a little lift, down to 4th, back on the gas, and then immediately changing back up to 5th. Now we want to get on the brakes early here. Try and not lock those fronts, down to 2nd gear, really trusting that the car's going to find that grip on the downhill there in the corkscrew. Absolutely flat through turn 9, over to the left hand side, little dab on the brakes, down to 4th gear, on the gas early, any corrections need to be done. 2 marker, again, final braking up to about 75%, down to 2nd gear, trailing it off. I went a little bit early on the gas there and had to correct. And over and across the line in a 121.032. Little pirouette to finish off, and let's do the breakdown. Okay, breakdown. So as I say, brake bias set to 56%. What we're looking for, first of all, is the 3 marker. You see this nicely painted line in the road here. So as I get to that, I get on the brakes. I'm going to brake, and I'm looking for a really, really wide entrance. So turn 2, which is the Andretti hairpin, I want to ignore the first apex here pretty much, because I want it to be nice and wide mid-quarter for a really late apex. So I'm aiming for the middle of the track, braking up to about 75%. I start trailing it off. I'm still trailing off the brakes in 4th gear. Now I drop it down to 3rd, and now drop it down to 2nd, and I get up to 100% gas, as you see here, and this allows me to run through the 2nd apex of the turn, getting on the gas nice and early, up to 3rd gear. We want to be right over to the left hand side, and just before the 2 marker on the left here, I'm just going to dab the brakes, up to about 35%. I'm going to trail it off, drop it down to 3rd gear, and now I'm back on 100% by the apex. Then I'm going to quickly change up to 4th gear, as you see. Just carry that momentum through. Same thing here. Once we get to the 2 marker, I'm just going to do a little lift. So a little lift and then back on, and I'm back on 100% well ahead of the apex. So we're really wanting to carry the momentum through at Laguna. I mean, we want to do that at every track, I suppose. The all-important turn 5, so it's just before the 2 marker here, and again we've got this beautifully painted white line, which really helps. We're in 5th gear, just going to a little dab on the brakes, well, up to about 70%, but then we're going to trail off very early. We dropped it down to 4th, and again we're getting on the gas nice and early ahead of the apex. Once I get to the apex, or actually just before I get to the apex being where I am here, I'm already up to 100%. The earlier you get on, the better, and we want to be getting on so early so that when you just maintain the steering wheel, it gives you a nice wide exit here. Now we go up to 5th, and at the 2 marker, we're going to start our turn in, and we're going to do a little lift, and then we're going to drop it down to 4th because we've done that lift. Then we get back on the gas, and again, ahead of the apex, I'm already back onto 100%, and I'm going to do a nice early change up again, up to 5th. So you might think, well, why not I just leave it in 5th and do a lift? Well, try it yourself between leaving it in 5th and dropping it down to 4th. I found that the dropping it down to 4th gave me more torque and a faster journey up this hill. Not that my lap guides are definitive. Right, for the corkscrew, we're going to brake early. So you see the 3 marker coming up here. We're actually going to brake a long way before there. And we don't want to brake much harder than sort of 60% at this point, because as we go over the crest, our car is going to become lighter and the wheels are going to have less traction. And when you land, you will lock up, and that's real pain. So as I land, I've now released that brake down to about 45%, and that's just to try and stop the front tires from locking up, or the rears, depending on how far back you've got your brake bias. Now, once I start gripping up again, that's when I can actually go slightly harder again on the brakes, nearly up to about 70%. And then I trail it off, I drop it down to second. You're getting your left-hand tires right over the mud, and then we're wanting to get up to 100% nice and early doors. Then I change up to third gear, and again, you're wanting to make sure that you're keeping your right-hand tyres on the rumble strip here. You can touch a little bit of the gravel on the right-hand side, but you just have to sort of really commit to this corner. Get over to the right-hand side. Now, if we go over to the right-hand side, it allows us to take turn 9 absolutely flat out, changing up to fifth mid-corner, and you want to be getting your left-hand tyres really close to that red and no-cut corner turn curbing. Sorry, I'm doing this very early on a Saturday morning. Right, the 2 marker again is when we're going to do a tiny dab on the brakes, up to about 35%, trail it off, we drop it down to 4th gear, and we want to get back on the gas ahead of the apex again, exactly the same as most of the other corners here at Laguna. Once you've started doing it 1 or 2 times, you'll actually find all the corners come together for you. And for the final braking marker, again, we're going to use this nicely painted line on the right-hand side. We go through that, then we brake up to about 75%. Wipe all that speed off in the straight line. Then we trail it off down to the apex. We drop it down to second. And I went a little bit early there. And then, yeah, I'm back on the gas just as I've come away from the apex. Exit nice and wide. There's no off-track out here. I could drive all the way up that pavement down the right-hand side without any issue. And over across the line. So 121.032. We have one final version of the guide coming up now with the driving line on. Without me talking, enjoy.